Let's get right into it. Number 10. The Misery-Gland tweak. Have you ever been freezing your butt off in a room full of people shivering uncontrollably while everyone else seems perfectly fine? You're not just being a drama queen. Your body is actually throwing a mini tantrum. We all know that shivering is your body's desperate last-ditch effort to create heat. Your muscles contract and relax at super speed, and you look like you're doing a very sad, very cold dance. But that's not the weird part. The real survival hack, the one we all have but have basically forgotten, is the ability to trigger our misery glands, a far more sophisticated and effective thermal defense. Deep inside our bodies, we have these tiny, almost useless remnants of a bygone era, often referred to as brown adipose tissue, or BAT. While white fat is just stored energy, brown fat is an engine. It's a biological furnace packed with mitochondria, and its sole purpose is to burn calories and produce heat, not store them. In infants, this is what keeps them from freezing to death. In animals that hibernate, it's their secret weapon. For us, it's mostly vestigial, an ancient survival trait left over from when we were running around in the cold without parkas or central heating. We still have it, but because we're so well insulated and live in climate-controlled bubbles, the signal to activate it is basically non-existent. We've forgotten how to truly get cold, and our body has forgotten how to fire up its internal furnace. So next time you're shivering, just remember, your body is trying to use a fire extinguisher when it actually has a flamethrower. And it's too lazy to find the ignition. Number 9. The ghost scent survival hack. Imagine a world where you could smell danger. Not the logical kind, like a gas leak, but the primal kind, like a predatory animal or a disease lurking in the crowd. Your nose has a survival superpower that's been muffled by the modern world. It's called chemosensory communication, and it's basically a language of fear and disease that we're all speaking without even knowing it. When you get scared, your body releases a cocktail of hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, and these things actually change the chemical makeup of your sweat. In a primitive setting, this would be a silent alarm, a signal to your clan that something is wrong. Your nose, while you think it's just picking up a generic BO, is actually capable of detecting these subtle chemical shifts. Studies have shown that when we smell the sweat of a scared person, our own fear response system lights up. It's a form of unconscious emotional contagion, a primitive warning system we've just ignored. We've traded this incredible sense for a more refined sense of smell, one that can detect the difference between a Pinot Noir and a Merlot. But the ability to smell a sick person or a scared person and to react accordingly is still there, buried under layers of perfume and air fresheners. Your brain is getting all these ghostly scent signals, these primal warnings, but it's like a computer trying to run a program for a game it hasn't played in a million years. You might get a vague sense of unease, but your rational brain just files it under "I don't like this person" instead of "this person is broadcasting a literal threat." Number 8. The fake death feint. You're a cornered animal. Your heart is pounding, your mind is racing, and you're surrounded. Your primitive brain has only a few options: fight, flight, or pretend to be dead. This last one, known as tonic immobility, is a survival hack so bizarre it feels more like a parlor trick than a biological function. Most animals do it. Opossums are the most famous, but so do we, in a very specific, very chilling way. Under extreme duress, like a life-threatening assault, a small percentage of people will enter this state. Their muscles will lock up, they become unresponsive, and their consciousness essentially checks out. Their brain just hits the off switch, making them appear completely lifeless. This isn't a conscious choice. It's a deep, involuntary reflex. It's a total system shutdown, a last resort when the brain decides that fighting or running is no longer an option. The theory is that this feigning death will confuse the attacker, causing them to disengage. It's an ancient survival instinct, a literal play dead command that our lizard brain still has filed away for a rainy day. Of course, in modern society where predators are more likely to be online trolls than wolves, this response is entirely useless and can even be dangerous, as it prevents you from defending yourself. But it's there, sitting dormant in your brain, an ancient, morbid piece of code waiting to be executed if you're ever in a real-life horror movie. Basically, your nervous system is throwing a tantrum and deciding it's better to just log off permanently than deal with a scary situation. Number 7. The sleepy time sensation. You're drifting off, just on the edge of sleep, when suddenly your body jerks. You flail, maybe even let out a little grunt, and then you're wide awake and feeling totally ridiculous. This is a hypnic jerk, and it's a perfectly normal but totally weird biological remnant from when we were still sleeping in trees. As your muscles relax and you start to lose consciousness, your brain misinterprets the signals. It thinks you're falling out of a tree, or off a cliff, or something equally dramatic. So, as a last-ditch effort, it sends an emergency jolt of adrenaline and other stress hormones to your muscles to wake you up and save you from the imaginary fall. It's an ancient security system, a biological tripwire that was probably super useful when our ancestors' beds were made of branches. Now, it just looks like you're having an epileptic fit in your own bed. We've all moved into nice, stable beds that are firmly on the ground, but our brain still has this little panic button, this leftover paranoia from a time when a bad night's sleep meant a trip to the forest floor. It's an inherited trait, a survival reflex that just doesn't know when to quit. The next time you're about to fall asleep and your leg spasms, just remember that your brain thinks you're a drowsy squirrel on a branch. Number 6. The goosebump graveyard. We all know what goosebumps are, that weird prickly sensation you get when you're cold, scared, or listening to a really good song. They're a biological leftover, a primitive tool that's been largely retired. For our ancient ancestors, this was a vital part of survival. We had a lot more hair back then, and when our tiny hair muscles, the erector pili, contracted, it would make our fur stand on end. This created a layer of insulation, trapping a little air against the skin to help us stay warm. It also served another purpose, to make us look bigger and more intimidating to potential predators. Think of a cat puffing up its fur when it's threatened. That's what we used to do. Now all that's left is a little skin-level freakout, a tiny, useless bump where a whole body-wide display used to be. The signal is still there, that brain-to-muscle command to puff up, but the hardware is gone. So when you get goosebumps while watching a scary movie, it's not just a sign that you're spooked. It's your body trying to turn you into a bigger, scarier, more intimidating version of yourself. A version that has been extinct for millennia. Number 5. The pain-proof panel. Imagine having a built-in anesthetic, a switch you could flip to block out pain. It's not a fantasy, it's a real biological function that we all have, but it's so well hidden that it only activates under the most extreme circumstances. This phenomenon is called stress-induced analgesia. When you're in a fight-or-flight situation, your body releases a torrent of endorphins and enkephalins, the body's natural painkillers. These chemicals flood your system and can completely mute pain signals. Think of a soldier in battle who doesn't feel a gunshot wound until hours later, or an athlete who finishes a game on a broken leg. It's your brain's way of prioritizing survival over discomfort. In a life-or-death scenario, feeling a broken arm is a distraction. The only thing that matters is getting away. This is a crucial survival trait, a built-in emergency override, but it's one we rarely, if ever, get to use. Because we're not constantly running from saber-toothed tigers or fighting for survival, this incredible system lies dormant, waiting for a situation it will likely never encounter. Our modern existence has made this awesome pain-killing superpower entirely redundant. Number 4. The waterproofed eyeball. Ever tried to hold your eyes open underwater without goggles? It's basically impossible. Your eyes burn, you get a ton of blurry vision, and it just feels wrong. That's because your eyes have a secret survival mechanism, a reflex that we've lost touch with but is still there, lurking in the back of your brain. It's called the mammalian dive reflex, and it's a physiological marvel that's been muffled by the modern world. This reflex is most prominent in marine mammals, but humans have a powerful, albeit weakened, version of it. When your face hits cold water, your heart rate drops dramatically, blood flow to your limbs and other non-essential organs slows down, and blood is redirected to your vital organs, your heart, your brain, your lungs. Your spleen even contracts to release oxygen-rich red blood cells into your bloodstream. This is your body's way of conserving oxygen so you can survive underwater for longer. We've evolved out of the need to hunt and forage underwater, so this incredible reflex has become a weird party trick, something you barely notice in a swimming pool. It's a literal survival trait designed to help you not drown, but we've made it almost completely obsolete. It's like having a parachute for a plane that never leaves the ground. Number 3. The silent screamer tinnitus. You know that high-pitched ringing in your ears after a loud concert or maybe just out of nowhere? That's tinnitus, and it's a common condition, but the underlying mechanism is an ancient and now useless survival hack. In a perfectly silent environment, your brain starts trying to hear something. It amps up its sensitivity, like turning the volume knob up on a stereo with no music playing. The result is that you start to hear the static, the internal workings of your own auditory system. In a primitive setting, this would be a super useful thing. If you're a hunter in the woods and everything goes dead silent, your brain is trying to make sure it's not missing the rustle of a predator in the leaves. It's a primal warning system, a way of telling you to be extra alert. Now, in a world full of artificial sound and constant noise, this reflex is completely screwed up. We're bombarded by sound, and then we have moments of silence, and our brain, trying to be a good little primitive survivor, cranks up the volume, resulting in that annoying, useless ringing. It's your brain trying to warn you of a threat that's not there, a ghost sound, a phantom alarm bell. Number 2. The fear of darkness defense. We've all experienced it, a totally irrational fear of the dark. We're adults, we know there are no monsters under the bed, but our heart still pounds when we walk through a dark room. This is one of the most classic examples of a survival trait that's now a completely useless phobia. Our ancestors' world was a dark and dangerous place. At night, without artificial light, they were incredibly vulnerable to predators. Their best defense was a heightened sense of alert and an ingrained fear of the dark, which kept them inside and safe. This fear is hardwired into our brains. It's not a phobia, it's a biological instinct. We're conditioned to see shapes in the dark, to hear things that aren't there. Our brain goes into hyperdrive, looking for threats in a world that's mostly harmless. We have light switches now, flashlights, and the ability to turn night into day. But our brain, this ancient piece of hardware, is still running the same fear of the dark program from 1,000,000 years ago. It's a defense mechanism that no longer serves a purpose, but is still fully operational. Number 1. The Stinky-Fear signal. We talked a bit about smelling fear earlier, but this is a step further. This is about making yourself smell scary. Have you ever been so terrified that you felt you needed a shower immediately after? This isn't just a nervous sweat. It's your body's last-ditch effort to make a predator think you're inedible. When you're in a state of extreme fear, your body releases a very specific type of sweat from your apocrine glands. This sweat is different from the regular sweat that cools you down. It's full of chemical compounds that to a primitive animal would smell disgusting. It's a biological repellent, a chemical signal that says, I am diseased, I am spoiled, don't eat me. It's a survival trait that was probably passed down from a common ancestor we shared with other animals. It's a way of turning ourselves into a biological stink bomb to ward off predators. Of course, in modern times, this is completely useless. The only thing it will do is make you feel embarrassed in a public setting. It's a last resort defense mechanism that's basically just an elaborate, disgusting way of broadcasting your terror to everyone around you. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.